Here you are. I was looking for you. I just found you. Think you could hide from me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since I've seen you, and here we are go. We have a fantastic show in the name of Jesus for you, but I need to do some business before I get there. I have a poem for you. You know, Tecumseh, he's one of those Cheyenne leaders in the past that was fighting to keep the American from taking Native American land, and he wrote a poem. I'm just going to read a few lines for you that set it up for us. It says, "So live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Full stop. Trouble no one about their religion, respect others and their views, and demand that they respect yours." And right off on the heels of that, I want to say to you that I believe Black life does matter. And it's an insult when people just say Black life matter. It's not just that. It's that Black life does matter. Full stop. Now that I got that out my system, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a presentation from Dr. Jason Pennycook, MD, ophthalmology surgeon, a black man. Huh? And the thing about Jason, I'm going to bring him on in a moment, but he is fantastic. Now, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this program is put on by the Health Ministry Department or Ministry of the Kansas Seventh-day Adventist Church in Riverside, California, and the extraordinary leadership of our new pastor, Dr. Donovan Washington. Fantastic sermon last week, every week. All right, you need to join us. But it's under the able leadership, the ministry of Nirma Usher and her extraordinary uh, dream team. These people are fantastic. They are doing things and going places. Now, this is not just a show. This program is to win witness for Jesus Christ and win souls for his kingdom. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, let me bring him on. Jason, where are you? Come on and meet the folks here. Say hello to Kansas Avenue. Here he is.
Hi, everyone.
Jason, yeah, you go. Jason is a member of Kansas Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yes,
He's
sir.
an elder in the church.
Yes, sir.
He's a doctor. He's a black man. He's an
Yes, sir.
ophthalmologist. He's a surgeon. He has two kids, Jaden and Jason. He has a wife, Ida Lines
Mm-hmm.
Pennycook. She is a doctor. She finished up her fellowship in what?
Retina.
Retina
Retina surgery.
specialist. Yeah. By the way, Jason is also doing a PhD. All right. He doesn't want to talk about this, but I'll talk about it. His wife also is doing a PhD. They're members. She was a member of
Praise
the
team.
praise team at Kansas. And,
Hmm.
and and I want to remind him you're still a member of our church. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Here
And,
we go.
and I'll remind you that anytime that you look at my name and you're thinking of, cleaning up the list, my name, please, it needs to stay there. That's home.
And lastly, before we throw it to him full time, Jason's mother is Mirta Pennycook, and his father is Eustace Pennycook Sr. There's a junior who is a dean of a school of medicine in Africa.
Hmm.
All right. I think he's in Mexico right now, right?
No, he's actually still in Africa and Rwanda. They're starting their third school year right now.
Yes.
So he's down there in Africa.
Tell him we say hello.
I will. I
No,
will.
Mirta and your dad in 1984 met Berta, my wife, at Loma Linda. I came to go to school, fresh out the Army, United States Army. All right. And we didn't have money. And your mother gave Berta money to register for school. And 20 odd years later, the rest is history. Who does that? Missionaries does that. So,
Missionary.
Milita and Eustace, if you're listening, we're eternally grateful to you for listening to God, giving us money without any strings attached.
Thank
And hopefully we can do that one of these days for somebody. Jason,
you.
from the bottom of my heart, welcome home.
Thank you. It's good to be
All right.
home.
So this is glaucoma. Tell us, I'm going to toss it to you. Tell us in your introduction, Jason, glaucoma week, why there's 2 months,
Okay.
March and January. And then the first question right off, what is glaucoma? And the other side of your presentation, let's leave enough time for Q&A. We got
That's
17 questions lined up already, so we'll get more, okay?
fantastic. So while I start to share my screen, I'm just going to try to explain what the difference is between glaucoma internationally and in the US.
Mhm.
I hope you guys can see me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So for the last 20 years or so, Glaucoma Awareness Week and specifically Glaucoma Awareness Day has been celebrated on March 12th every year. 2 years ago, the American Academy of Ophthalmology also started celebrating what is called the Glaucoma Awareness Month, and they place that in January. So if you go online, you'll probably find mentions for Glaucoma Awareness Month in January, but that's only the American Academy of Ophthalmology. And then the rest of the world will really focus on World Glaucoma Awareness Day, which is March 12th, tomorrow, and then World Glaucoma Awareness Week, which is whatever week contains that day. So now that we kind of cleared that up, we're going to talk about a few things today. A lot of this presentation is based on what we've been saying almost every time that I come here, which is to say we talk a little bit about how the eye works. And I think this is important because it gives us a context of what structures we're dealing with. And for this presentation, I'm going to focus in glaucoma. What is glaucoma? What is glaucoma progression? How does it look like? How to know if you're at risk or not, and want to know if you should be checking, having an eye check or not. Then I'm going to spend a little bit of time on what's new in glaucoma treatment, and I'm a little bit excited about this part of the presentation. And then a little bit about glaucoma and quality of life, or actually glaucoma and lifestyle. And then we're going to have some time for questions and answers. So to get into it, how does the eye work? I always use this example. The eye is like a camera, but it's like one of these old school cameras where you have the camcorder on your hand, and then you have to carry the little VHS on a little backpack like you see here on the screen. And then there's a cable that will connect the camera to the VCR. And this camera would be our eye, and then the VCR would be the brain. And the cable that connects both of them is the optic nerve. So if you see at this diagram of the eye on the other side, you have this little part that's on the right part of your screen. That's the optic nerve, and that connects the eye to the brain. Any light that comes into the eye comes into the cornea, goes in between the pupil, in between the iris, comes across the lens, the normal crystalline lens, and then focuses on the retina. That's the back part of the eye. So if this was a normal camera, we would say that it goes through the lens, through the aperture. The diaphragm would be the same thing as the iris, and then it goes into the film, and the film is the retina. But from the film, because this is a video camera, we actually have a cable that connects it to the brain. And that cable, like I mentioned, is called the optic nerve. So what happens in glaucoma specifically, glaucoma is not just one disease. It's actually a group of different diseases that have a similar endpoint. And that endpoint is that because of several reasons, the fibers, the cells in the nerve, the optic nerve, begin to die in a specific pattern. And after they die in this specific pattern, they produce a characteristic pattern of visual loss that is usually described as something that goes, you start losing your the peripheral vision, and you start going into something that we call tunnel vision. So instead of being able to see things that are in your periphery, your vision will narrow into a small tunnel until the light is completely gone. So that's how the eye works and what glaucoma is. Now, glaucoma is important because it's actually the fourth largest cause of vision loss across the world. We know that about 8 million people have vision loss due to glaucoma. And of these, about 3.6 million, almost half, are completely blind. And then 4.2 million experience moderate to severe vision impairment. This is important because the vision that we lose because of glaucoma cannot be recovered with treatment or with surgery. So it's important to diagnose glaucoma on time when it's in its earliest stages, so we can prevent the progression from happening. A question that I usually get when I come and talk to you guys has to do between glaucoma and race. You might have heard that African Americans or people of Caribbean and African descent we're at most risk of being blind because of glaucoma. We have a higher risk for glaucoma. And what I usually tell you guys when I get asked this question is that this might be true, but there are some issues with the way research was conducted. So it might be that we're actually at a higher risk, excuse me. But at the same time, it might be that we actually have lower access to healthcare. Excuse me. It's not my presentation if I don't lose my voice at some point. So there's very low quality of evidence. And the take-home message here is always get checked anyways. Excuse me. So I want to highlight this graphic that I found. What's important about this graphic is that we need to understand that even though we want to treat glaucoma and many diseases like the effects of individual decisions and individual characteristics, the reality is that when it comes to blindness because of any reason, and specifically with glaucoma, our health behaviors, that means the decisions that we make, only account to about 30% of everything that has to do with glaucoma. The other 70% actually has to do with socioeconomic, with healthcare, and with physical environment reasons. And this is what we usually call social determinants of health, and what they produce is health disparities. So in a nutshell, there is some evidence for people of African, Caribbean, and African American descent to have an increased risk of blindness. That's true. We shouldn't try to deny this. There's also evidence that we might be experiencing the disease earlier and in a more aggressive way. But the reality is that the quality is so low that we really can't tell if this is because of a racial issue or because of social economical reasons. Okay. So then the next thing that I want to show you has to do with how do you know if you're at risk for progression? And there's an excellent tool. I'm going to make sure that I sent you guys a link or a picture so you can go on and do most of this questionnaire on your own. This is something that would usually be filled out by your doctor at every visit. And we are going to go through different things. And if you have if you know you have one of these characteristics, then you score either 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points for each of the characteristics that I'm about to read. So the first one is age. If you're over 60 years old, then you score 1 point. If you're up to 40 years old, then you score 3 points. Between 40 and 60 points, then you have to score 2 points. You'll notice that the age is inverted here, and it's inverted because we're a lot more aggressive in our treatment and progression with younger patients because they have longer to live, and we have to protect their vision for a longer time. Then we have sex. If you're a man, then you score 2 points. Race, as I mentioned, African and Caribbean descent, we score the highest. We have to score the highest here. Socioeconomic status is the less money you have, the more risk you'll have to progress with glaucoma. Access to healthcare. So if you have easy access, it's a lot less likely for you to go blind because of this. Family history of glaucoma. So if you have first degree relatives other than siblings having glaucoma, then you score 1 point. 2 points if you have a sibling with glaucoma, and 3 points if you have any family member that actually went blind due to glaucoma. Intraocular pressure goes between 10 and 21. That's our normal intraocular pressure. If you have an intraocular pressure from 28 or lower, then it's 1 point. Some patients will have 22, 23, and they do have a higher risk of developing glaucoma than patients that are with an intraocular pressure of 10 or 11. If you're between 29 and 40, then you should score 2 points, and anything over 40, then you should score 3 points. Um, if you have fluctuation during the day with your intraocular pressure, there's something that the doctor will usually check by having you visit the clinic at different times, in different moments, and taking your intraocular pressure. We're actually staying at the clinic for a few hours so they can check your pressure for 6 to 8 hours. If that variation is greater than 6 millimeters of mercury, then you should score 3 points. We actually have some other tests of something that I'm going to talk a little bit later that is called the hydration tolerance test that might give us a quick answer with this. If you're on control with medical treatment and you use 1 or 2 medications, then you score 1 point. If you need more than 2 medications, then it's 2 points. If you can't actually control your intraocular pressure, then you score 3 points. Central corneal thickness. This is another exam that is done at the clinic, and the thinner your cornea is, the higher your risk. If you suffer from myopia, if there's optic disc hemorrhage, and these are different things that are usually done at the clinic, and your doctor will do either through history or doing a check of your eye. And so these will be different things that you can score yourself on. Finally, these other, okay, so there are some other types of glaucoma. Usually what we talk about is open angle glaucoma. And with open angle glaucoma, your history of of drugs is also important. If you're compliant to treatment or you're compliant to follow-ups, then that's also important. But then you have something that is called primary angle closed glaucoma. And in this case, the drainage system of the eye is closed because of different anatomic characteristics of your eye. So in this case, people that are at higher risk are women, people from Inuit or Asian descent. And then the other characteristics here are things that we can measure at the office. Okay. So once you've done this, if you score up to 15, then you have a low risk of progression. Between 16 and 40, a moderate risk of progression. And higher than 40, then you will have a high risk of progression. And it's important to know what your level of progression is, because this will help us to decide how aggressive we need to be with the treatments that we're going to use in your case. Okay. So another thing that is being one of the new developments when it comes to seeing how glaucoma progresses is the use of machine learning or artificial intelligence. And we can now say, because of studies, that machine learning and computers are able to predict progression of glaucoma in different types of patients better than most physicians. This is regardless of the amount of information that the machine is given. So given the same amount of information, and even in some cases, when the machine is given less information, the computer is able to predict glaucoma progression better than your clinician. Why is this important? It's important because we're seeing that artificial intelligence is taking on a bigger role in diagnosis and progression and treatment of glaucoma. And that's not a reason to be worried. That's a reason to look for a doctor that is actually using those tools and including them in your treatment. Okay. So the idea here is a doctor that uses machine learning tools is probably most definitely better off than a doctor that does not use them. So now we're going to go into what's new in glaucoma in terms of treatment. And what I want to describe very quickly are new therapies. Some of them we spoke about last year. How do they relate to quality of life? And then I'm going to touch upon precision medicine and what that means. So newer drug therapies. This has changed from the last time we spoke about a year ago. I want you to notice on this chart on your right that for about almost 20 years, there was almost no new developments in glaucoma in glaucoma therapies. After prostaglandin analogs, which are usually the first line of care now, we didn't have any new um, drug types or drug classes developed for almost 20 years. But we're living in a time where there are exciting things happening. And we actually have not one, but three different glaucoma drug options. Some of them include new drug delivery systems. Some include two new family types of drug classes, and then there's a few more in the pipeline. There's about two or three more in the pipeline. This is important because the way that we attack glaucoma is that we use different pathways into the eye, and each different drug class or drug family helps us to attack a specific target. And the more options that we have, it means that we are able to reduce the intraocular pressure in different ways. Something that I should mention is that out of everything that happens with glaucoma, the one thing that we can control is intraocular pressure. And that's why we focus on that as our main target, our main treatment target. So the newer drug therapies include preservative-free drops. The preservative that is used to keep drops sterile is very toxic to the cornea of the eye. And because it's toxic to the cornea of the eye, it actually irritates the eye and gives us most of the side effects from glaucoma drugs don't actually come from the glaucoma drug. They come from the preservative that is used to deliver that drug. So now we have a lot of preservative-free options. There's something that we call the ROT inhibitors, and those were the ones that were developed and released in 2017. These are important because they bring a whole new family, and what they do is that they have to do with the inflammation and the way that the optic nerve, handles inflammation. Nitric oxide donors. These are drugs that will actually help the optic nerve get more blood. And then we have something that we call sustained release systems. When we talk about sustained release systems, we see that there are different pathways into the eye now. And these are just some examples I'm going to touch upon quickly. So one of them is the solo drop, which is this one that I'm circling here. The idea with this drop is that it's a once monthly eye drop. You place a drop once, it forms a special gel. This gel will stay in the eye and then release microspheres or release the glaucoma drug slowly over the course of a month. And so this is one of the newest delivery systems is still in research. We also have punctal plugs. These are actually being released in Europe. These over the last year. In the US, they're still not available. But the idea is many of the same drops that we use are introduced in the punctal in the lacrimal system. And then this is a type of polymer, a type of silicon that will stay there and degrade slowly over time, up to 3 months. The main risk here is that the patient sometimes might not feel if it falls out. And if it falls out, then you have no treatment. But the advantage of these type of drug delivery systems is that the dose is a lot lower. And because the dose is lower and it has a sustained release, you don't have to deal with many of the side effects from the eye drops, including the preservative and also in the way that the liquid will irritate the eye. There's also something that is called the conjunctival ring. It also uses a special type of silicon. This one is placed inside of your eye. And after it's placed there, it doesn't, you won't feel there's something there during the time that the ring is there, because of the location of its placement. And while the ring is there, it can release different drugs. And one of the advantages of this particular ring is that you can include more than one type of drug in it. There's also some studies going on to include contact lenses that will slowly release the drugs. Um, there's something that is called the OptiJet, and what this technology does is that instead of having to place an eye drop inside of your eye, what this would do is that you place the device close to your eye. You press a button, and then it will produce a mist, and this mist is enough to give you an effective dose of the drug. This one is a little bit closer to being released than the previous two options. Durista was just one of the known prostaglandin analogs drugs is by Maltoprost. Durista was cleared by the FDA 2 years ago and is currently in use in the U.S. This is an excellent option for someone that is suffering from glaucoma, and it has irritated eyes, has red eyes, has teary eyes, has a sensation of either sand or foreign body sensation in your eyes. This is an excellent option. You should definitely talk to your doctor about Durista if you are one of those patients. Durista is placed in the office, so you don't need to actually go into the OR. And what they do is that they use this single-use applicator, this device, to inject this little pebble into your eye. So it goes inside of the eye. It's a little bit, I'm going from things that are non-invasive to the most invasive ones. So this one actually goes inside of your eye. This small pellet, it's about the size of the L in the quarter. That's how big it is. And it stays inside of the eye for between 4 and 6 months. You usually need to be checked. You still need to be checked for your eye pressure, but you won't need any additional treatment for a few months if you're using Durista. Then we move into surgery. And for surgery, we have what we call microinvasive glaucoma surgery. As I mentioned last year, there's been a shift in the way that we approach glaucoma treatment. It used to be that we used to say, we're going to use eye drops until they fail, and then we're going to go into big surgeries that are risky and try to save whatever is left with that. Nowadays, what we do is that we sometimes start with surgery before we go to eye drops, because we've noticed that patients have a better quality of life with surgery than with the eye drops. And then if the surgery is not enough, then we'll start adding eye drops until we have to go to the bigger surgeries. So microinvasive glaucoma surgery is fantastic because the type of surgery that is done, the type of the incision that we do is very small, smaller than the incision for cataract surgery. So usually the patient has a very quick recovery period. And these are just different types of MIG devices, of implants that we can use. These are placed either on their own, or if you're going for cataract surgery, then they're placed during cataract surgery. And like I said, they're an excellent option. One of the newer ones is called iDose. And what iDose has is that besides being an implant that looks similar to this one, to the iStent inject, it also has a polymer there that is impregnated with drug, with Maltoprost. So besides having a physical way of having the liquid exit the eye, it also has a way of making of lowering the eye pressure through medication that is placed inside of the eye. Besides microincisional glaucoma surgery, we also have different types of laser surgery. These types of laser surgery are an option for some patients, and applying laser therapy to the drainage of the eye, to the trabecular meshwork, can allow us to eliminate the need for glaucoma drops for 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, even more. It depends that the efficacy or the amount of time that it will last will change from patient to patient. But it's definitely a great option. And I should mention as well that most of these devices will also, they've been proven to lower eye pressure from anywhere from 3 years to 5 years. But there are also some case reports of people that have had them for 9 years, 10 years, and they still don't need any additional medication because of the device or the laser. And then to touch quickly on precision medicine, um, what precision medicine does is that instead of treating you like we treat most of the patients, we actually do studies to find out exactly what your genetic profile is and what advantages or disadvantages you would have from a particular type of drug or treatment approach, and then we customize that treatment to you by selecting better options through knowing what your gene profiles are. So, for instance, we already know that there are certain genetic profiles that will respond a lot better to surgical approach than to drugs. And for many years, it had been said that when it came to people of African and Caribbean descent, um, it was better to start with surgery than to start with drugs, or it was better to start with laser than to start with drugs. But we didn't exactly know why. Well, now we know why. There's some genes that explain that, and not everyone has the same genes. So we can actually study what your genes are and figure out if you're in the camp where a surgery first might be your best option, or if we can start with laser or eye drops. This is also important because we've also identified some other gene profiles that are in the other extreme. Profiles that show that there's a higher risk for malignancy after surgery, or that surgical success will not be as good if you're expressing those genes. So so precision medicine is the way that we're moving. If I could summarize what I'm trying to say with this, I'm saying that even though 5 or 6 years ago we had limited options and we could only treat glaucoma with eye drops or big surgeries, now we're starting to see that smaller surgeries, laser, and customized treatment are giving us a lot better results with our patients. And if we're applying also tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning to improve the outcomes, that's where the state of the art of glaucoma care is going more and more, because we're taking more care of making sure that your quality of life remains high, and not just we're reaching we're reaching our treatment goals with a low pressure. So, when it comes to glaucoma and quality of life, or specifically lifestyle, I just wanted to touch on a few things. Um, we found I found a randomized control trial that talks about mindfulness meditation and how it lowers stress biomarkers, modulates gene expression in glaucoma, and actually improves quality of life for patients with glaucoma. And what was also surprising was that it actually lowered intraocular pressure. There's some limitations with the study, but the findings are pretty encouraging, anyways. So one of the things you can do at home on your own to control your glaucoma and improve your quality of life is actually to pray. Then exercise. We know that there's a slower progression of visual field loss in glaucoma when there's greater physical activity, and even small changes like adding between 2,500 and 5,000 steps to your daily routine can actually allow you to get some of these results or these benefits. At the same time, there are some kinds of exercise that might be not that might be riskier for patients that have glaucoma. So the idea here is that if your blood pressure is going, those type of exercises or conditions where either your head is lower than your heart, so you feel like your head is filling up with blood. Those type of situations are not the best for patients that have glaucoma. So on one hand, we know that if you do more physical activity, you'll have less visual loss because of glaucoma. But on the other hand, you need to be careful about the type of activities that you're doing. And what I would say here is talk to your doctor and ask them specifically about the exercises that you're doing. And then diets in glaucoma. Um, this is a pretty big a big field. Um, I'm just gonna summarize it with fruits and vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables. From there, you can go into something like ginkgo biloba if you want to add something to your diet. And then anything else that you read is, okay, might as well just eat healthy, and that's about it. Okay. So after saying this, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I'm here for your questions.
Okay, Jason, that was awesome. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
I love the futuristic look from the presentation. Let's get right to the question. Doc, would you repeat the dates with glaucoma from 3/12 and 12 and so forth?
Okay, so March 12th is World Glaucoma Awareness Day. That's tomorrow. And that's why we usually do this during the month of March. That's an international day. Okay. On the other hand, the American Academy of Ophthalmology has selected January as Glaucoma Awareness Month. So the American Academy of Ophthalmology celebrates Glaucoma Awareness Month in January. And just to put it into perspective, the American Academy of Ophthalmology does not include your optometrist because they're not in that association.
Yes.
So an optometrist will probably be more mindful about our March date than the January one, because the January is the American Academy of Ophthalmology. But when you Google for them, you'll find both dates.
Thank you. Doc, the first question coming out is, how do I get glaucoma?
Wow, that's a great first question. We get glaucoma. Let me start by saying that glaucoma is not one disease. There's a lot of different types of disease.
Mm-hmm.
More than 60 different diseases end up with a specific pattern of loss in your optic nerve and your visual field that we then call glaucoma.
Okay.
So that means that you have millions of ways of actually getting to that point. We usually get glaucoma, or what we know by glaucoma, because the pressure in our eye, inside of our eye, increases. If the pressure inside of the eye is too high, then the structures that are more susceptible to a high pressure in the eye start to die off. And that structure is your optic nerve. Your pressure can go high because your angle, the angle between your iris, which is the colored part of your eye, and the cornea, which is the clear, transparent lens in front of your eye, is too narrow. If that angle is too narrow, then there's resistance to the outflow of liquid, and then you're gonna get higher pressure. It can also be because even though the tubes, the angle is open, the rest of the system has some sort of resistance.
Okay.
The joke between ophthalmologists is that glaucoma is a plumbing disease.
Okay. Is
If
it contagious?
you have enough outflow, there's no problem. If you don't have enough outflow, then the pressure is going to increase, and eventually that's going to damage the nerve. So you get glaucoma because of age. You get glaucoma because of anatomic differences. You get glaucoma because of genetics and what you inherit from your parents. You get glaucoma because of some of our lifestyle decisions, like smoking, or if you get diabetes, you can get certain types of glaucoma.
Oh, wow.
If you have certain types of trauma or certain types of trauma to the eye can also cause glaucoma. Certain problems that are secondary to hypertension, to your elevated blood pressure, can also lead to glaucoma. There's too many pathways to actually point a finger on them. on it. But the idea here is it all ends up with a loss of nerve fibers in the optic nerve, and
Mhm.
then a loss in your visual field. It goes into tunnel vision.
Okay, so we have a number of questions and comments in the chat. And so
Mhm.
could you put them up one by one? The first one is from Dorothy. I don't know if you can. And so are you hearing me? Yes, here we go. Doc.
Thank you.
And so put up the next one from Victoria.
Good
This is Victoria Albanese. All right, watching. Put up the next one from my
to
beloved
see you.
wife.
Love
Uh,
you too.
all right, next one, Ansel. All right,
Thank you.
and the next one. All right,
This
now
is all
Ansel.
love. I want some questions too.
We have them. The next question coming here is: what are the symptoms of glaucoma?
That's a fantastic question. A fantastic question. And there are no symptoms for glaucoma.
Wow.
That's what's so dangerous about this disease. You will feel nothing. That's why glaucoma is so challenging to treat, because the symptoms are nothing, but the side effects from the drugs are very irritating. The side effect, you mean I don't feel like there's anything wrong with my eyes and I have to go into surgery or have laser? Those are the type of things that would actually make treating glaucoma so difficult. Explaining to the person that even though they don't feel anything, they do need a lot of treatment. The only symptom that is more cumbersome than the side effects from drugs and treatment in glaucoma
Hmm.
is blindness,
Wow. And that's too late.
and that's too late. So what happens with glaucoma is usually you won't feel anything. And I need to clear something up now. There's two basic types of glaucoma. You have open angle glaucoma and angle closer glaucoma. So open angle glaucoma is slow and there's no symptoms. You just slowly lose your vision from the outside in until you go into tunnel vision. And usually by the time that you've noticed that you've lost vision, then you've lost about 95% of your vision, and you lost about 98 to 99% of your optic nerve. And by that time, like we said, it's almost too late to do anything about it. And that's usually the type of glaucoma that will affect people from African and Caribbean descent. Then you have another type of glaucoma, angle closer glaucoma. In angle closer glaucoma, pressure goes up like this in a moment. So once you have our normal eye pressure is between 10 and 21. Between 21, 22, and 29, you probably won't feel anything. And that's usually where open angle glaucoma happens. After you get about 30 to 32, you start suffering from pain, eye pain. Between 35 and 40, you actually get nauseous with your eye pain. So you'll
Mm.
get a headache or your eye will hurt and you'll actually get nauseous. After it goes over 40, your cornea will no longer be transparent and your vision will get blurry quickly.
Mm.
This will happen in the span of an hour with angle closer glaucoma.
Mm.
And we need to treat that quickly. Why don't we usually focus on angle closer glaucoma? It's less than 10% of all glaucoma cases. And usually treatment is on spot and effective. You won't have a problem because of that ever again if we diagnose and treat it. Um, People don't go blind usually because of angle closer glaucoma. People do go blind because of open angle glaucoma. So that's why when you ask me what the symptoms are for glaucoma,
Mhm.
we have two types. The type that we care about, you're not going to feel anything until it's too late. So you need to have a checkup.
Mm.
The type that is very painful, it will wake you up in the middle of the night and drive you to the ER.
All right, Doc. So we got a number of questions stacking up. So I want you to go as fast as you can because we don't see you when you come into America, by the way. All right. Don't answer that question. Here we go. And so put up the question after Dorothy question where it says my patient. And so My patient with diabetes had laser and become blind. Here we go. Can you answer that one?
Also heard of sharp pains and light flashing after laser. Okay. I need to break this down a little bit. So, um, usually in diabetes, you have different stages of the disease.
Yeah.
There's two big stages. There's a stage before your eye forms what we call neovascular disease, which are new blood vessels in the eye that are defective. And the example that I usually use for this is, imagine that we want to build a road from Riverside to LA. But instead of planning a road, all we do is we grab a bucket with concrete and then we just start, sprinkling that concrete wherever it goes. And then we say, well, there's your road. Go at it. The new vessels that happen because of diabetes have that quality control as in none. So they leak blood everywhere. They leak blood in between, and they don't carry the oxygen that is needed to the places that need it. So what we do with laser is that we eliminate the chemical signal that tells the eye or tells the body to create those roads, those new vessels. What this laser does is that it actually kills the cells that will produce that chemical signal. And laser is painful. I'm not going to lie to you. It is painful. It's from us in a scale from 1 to 10, it's probably between a 4 and 5. So it doesn't hurt as much as getting a shot, but it's definitely uncomfortable. It involves a bright light. So what you're describing in your question is actually the process of laser. We hit you with a bright light, and every time that the light hits you, it hurts. But the alternative to this are those vessels that are of bad quality. And once those vessels are there and the blood leaks, then your prognosis for vision goes down very quickly. So what I usually tell my patients before I give them laser is, your vision might be right here. After the laser, I even expect that your vision might, lower a little bit. But then it's going to stabilize here, and this is going to be your vision long term. If I don't give you any laser, your vision can be here. But now that I know that you need laser, if I don't give you any laser, within the next 6 to 24 months, your vision is going to drop off. And the problem with diabetes is that the vision that you lose because of diabetes in the retina, you won't be able to recover. So it is better for us to lose a little bit of your vision and then stabilize it there than to lose it completely. However, there are some cases when by the time that the patient gets to us, by the time that we're able to see the patient and know that they need laser, they're they've always already had a bleed. They already have membranes. Their retina's already destroyed. So even though we're doing laser to try to save some of their sight and to try to limit what the damage is going to be, sometimes we're already too late. So you might be feeling that you can see, you might still have good vision, but only in a limited part of your retina, and it has no structure, no support. And after a laser, that might drop off. If you
Right.
didn't get any laser, that was still going to drop off.
Hi, so give me the next question right below that one is a
Just to
comment.
add one more thing to tie it in with glaucoma.
Okay.
In some cases, because of that lack of oxygen, those blood vessels would actually grow not only in the back of the under retina, but in the corners, in the corner between the iris and the cornea, in the drainage of the eye, and it will block it. And then you get something that is called neovascular glaucoma. Neovascular glaucoma is a glaucoma that it's a consequence of diabetes, and it also needs treatment with laser
Okay.
and surgery.
All right, here we go. This is a love letter. Here we go. Give me the next one. And so,
Thank you, Norma. Oh, this is another good question. So we know that high blood pressure and glaucoma or intraocular pressure are related, but they're not associated. Um, so what this means is, um, sorry, they're associated but not related. So what this means is that you can have. We know that people with high blood pressure are at more risk of having glaucoma, but it doesn't mean that the higher your blood pressure goes, the higher your eye pressure will go.
all right. Next one. And so, here we go.
I start coughing again. Excuse me.
There we go. So this one is I heard that when you have cataract surgery due to the pressure in the eye, people get glaucoma. What are your thoughts on this?
There's a type of glaucoma that is actually due to cataract.
Wow.
So it's actually the other way around. You had cataract,
Mm-hmm.
you had glaucoma, and then you got a double hit of that. Some people that go through cataract surgery during the surgery might need high levels of intraocular pressure to keep the tissue stable, but the exposure there is usually less than 20 minutes or an hour. So if you had glaucoma after cataract surgery, it's not usually because of the surgery. Another aspect that can put you at a higher risk from cataract surgery to glaucoma is the type of drugs that we use to fight inflammation in the eye after surgery, which are steroids. Some people have a type of glaucoma that is secondary to steroid use. And if you are susceptible to steroid, if you're what we call a steroid responder, which means that any amount of steroids will just raise your intraocular pressure, then we need to change the type of drugs that we use to limit the inflammation in your eye after cataract surgery. Anytime that you have cataract surgery, in the post-op checks, we will check your eye pressure and we will notice if you're responding to steroids or not and do the necessary adjustments. So to sum up this question, people with glaucoma can have cataracts. There's no reason why you can't have both problems. There's certain types of glaucoma that are secondary to cataract, and the treatment for that glaucoma will be a cataract surgery. The exposure during cataract surgery is not enough to cause glaucoma, what we normally call glaucoma. And we do need to be mindful of the steroids, the drops that we use after cataract surgery, because that can cause glaucoma.
Answer, give me Victoria question.
Sure. So the difference between cataract and glaucoma. A cataract is a cloudiness of the eye, of the lens that is inside of the eye. Give me a second. I'm going to try to go back to that slide. I've been sharing my screen this whole time. I thought I wasn't. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at this part of the diagram, this is the natural lens. We're born with this lens, okay? And it's called the crystalline lens because it's transparent. We all have it. It's a natural part of our eye. When this lens goes cloudy, mostly because of time and age, we stop calling it the lens and we start calling it a cataract. It's a normal process of aging in our eye.
Mm.
Glaucoma happens because the optic nerve is damaged, mostly because of an increase in the intraocular pressure.
Mm.
So that's the main difference between both.
Okay. I have a question for you, Anya. Is there any treatment for glaucoma? And you explained all of that already, but can glaucoma be cured? Because you said in your presentation You can only contain it when it's what you lost, you can't regain.
Um, we don't usually talk of glaucoma in terms of curing it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We talk about in terms of controlling it.
Okay.
Similar to high blood pressure. I don't want to include diabetes in this right now because we do talk about remission in glaucoma. In diabetes. Glaucoma can be controlled to the point where it's going to take 300 years to take your eyesight. I used this example with a patient last week. Let's say that we're standing at the beginning of a block, any block in your city, right? And at this side of the block, you have full health. At the other side of the block, you have blindness due to glaucoma. My goal treating you is for you to advance so slowly through this block that it will take you 300 or 400 years to get to the other side of the block.
Mhm.
That's my only goal in glaucoma. I know that I can get to that point if I lower your intraocular pressure to somewhere around 12, between 10, 11, 12. If I'm able to lower your intraocular pressure to 10 or 12, then maybe every feet in this block will take between 5, 20, 25 years to actually advance. And I know that at that pace, Jesus will come before you need to go blind because of glaucoma. That's the whole point here. However, there are people that advance faster or that start younger. And if you start younger or you're advancing faster, then I need to do things that are more aggressive to get you to stop from advancing. So no, I cannot cure glaucoma. I cannot go back, but I can make it go as slowly as possible so you don't need to concern with becoming blind of glaucoma. And that's the point here. That's the end. That's the objective. The objective is to eliminate blindness because of glaucoma. We're not going to be able to stop glaucoma from happening. We're not going to be able to cure it completely, but we can stop the progression to a point where it won't make anyone else go blind.
Tremendous presentation, Doc. We're right at quitting time. First of all, thank you very much. I hope you never move your membership from Kansas. You'll always be
That's
loved. I don't know when you come in West, but when you come in West, let us know. We would like to give you some peanut butter and bologna sandwich, okay? And
so.
say hello to Ida Denez if she's listening. Ida, ¿cómo estás? And the kids, Jason and Jaden.
None of them are listening right now. Only
All
the
right.
dog is listening right
Tell
now.
them I'm disappointed. I'm hurt that they're not listening to this awesome program. Thank you very much for the research and the time that it took to put in, Doc. I really appreciate you. Let's have a word of prayer before you go.
Please.
Our Father and our God, we come to you today thanking you for this Sabbath day. Thanking you for the awesome sermon that we heard today, all right? Challenging us. And now look at this program, Lord. You bless your manservant, Jason A. Pennycook, ophthalmology, MD, PhD, all of the, but humble and willing to share and always bringing us the cutting edge, leading edge in treatment. Today we have learned a lot. We are each at our disposal. We'll take a call if we can. And continue to bless him in his ministry, in his career, he and his family. And as the kids grow up, bless them. May they become missionaries as their grandparents. And his brother in Africa, Lord, bless him as he lead out.
Trisha.
In Jesus and Tricia, thank you. Tricia, I think she's in Florida. Lord, continue to bless her ministry. She was here with us, and you have blessed her. So we know what you can do and what you have done in their life. Thank you for the parents who were missionary, and boy, what a job they have done and the legacy that they're leaving for us. Thank you in Jesus' name. Let everyone on the line say,
Amen.
Amen. Gracias, Señor. Pura vida.
Pura vida. Gracias.
All right, take care.